Hello and welcome to Szeged for the first of the men's water polo matches here at the 2022 World Championships in Hungary. This is the third largest city in the country and the regional centre of the southern Great Plain. It's famous for its university and for its eye-catching cathedral. And there it is, right on cue. I'm Bob Ballard, and I'm going to guide you through match 7 between Kazakhstan and Australia at the Tizbarik pool. The Kazakhs have yet to make it into the last 8 since they became an independent nation in the early 90s. Australia's men have not fared as well as their female counterparts. The best for them was a 4th place finish in 1998. The music of AC/DC plays in the background to herald the arrival very shortly of the Australians. Let's give you an idea of the other game, and indeed this group that we're talking about, which contains Australia and Kazakhstan. Obviously, I've mentioned that to you already. United States of America will take on Serbia in the second game. Well, 6 of the Australian team from Gwangju in 2019 returned when they finished in 6th place. Kazakhstan ended up in place 14 of 16 in South Korea. As you mentioned just now, just the first of the games in Group D, which also contains the USA and Serbia. That game that we were talking about and mentioning just now later on could well be a humdinger. And just getting underway, the Italians starting the defense of their title right now against South Africa. But we'll concentrate on this one in Group D, Australia-Kazakhstan. Well, as you have seen in the women's events, if you're watching the water polo on day 1, there have been a few blowouts in the early stages of the competition. When these two nations met at the last World Championships, it did result in a 17-8 win for Australia. Nathan Power scored a hat-trick on that occasion, and he's one of the players that does return for the Australians for this one. There's our group of 4, only 3 can progress. The team that finishes bottom will be, as I mentioned yesterday, the water polo equivalent of the repechage. Here are our officials from Georgia and Montenegro, Levan Berishvili and Vasilin Miskovic. Will be our officials for today. Looking like they are ready to perform their job. And as always, we introduce the on paper, the away team. Doesn't really make a lot of difference in this. I think it's only what comes down to where they are positioned in the respective locker rooms, but Kazakhstan are the away team for this. Madikan Makhmetov will be the goalkeeper if they choose to go with him first. Of course, they have 2 who will wear caps 1 and 13. Quite a few of the names from 3 years ago do return, including Edward Zoy. Again, they've got a lot of experience. They've got a couple of youngsters, but 3 youngsters coming into the lineup from a couple of years ago. There's Anatoly Pustovalov, who's one of those new names, 18 years of age. Serdan Vuksanovic will wear number 4 for Kazakhstan, whose ambition is to really keep this as close as possible, keep it as respectable as possible, I think. Maxim Lamayev for Kazakhstan will wear number 5. Daniel Artyok will be number 6 for Kazakhstan. Murat Shakanov is going to be coming on the pool deck wearing number 7, followed very swiftly by Yegor Bebelyok. Over the centre-backs, Ruslan Aramentov will wear number 9. See, that's on their caps. That's an identification of who they are. Alexei Shmida will be number 10. Timur Kasanov, another one of the youngsters, 19 years of age, number 11. And then again, a bit more experience with 12 and 13. Sultan Shonzigitov will be number 12. And there is the other goalie for Kazakhstan, who will be wearing blue caps for identification purposes. Lipalin. There is Rustam Bukimanov, who is the head coach of Kazakhstan.
And now in white cap, the national team of Australia.
I mentioned the majority Australians that were fielded 3 years ago do return. So a lot of experience in this team, but actually one of the oldest teams, and only one of their players was born after 1999. Nick Porter will be probably the first choice goalie. Kenan Marsden wears number 2. There are a few who are returning from 3 years ago. George Ford was one of the more instrumental players for the Aussies in Gwangju. Charlie Negus will be number 4. I've already mentioned the influence that Nathan Power had the last time these two teams met in the World Championship. Nathan Power wears number 5. Tom McJanet wears number 6 for Australia. And this could be quite a key person. I was mentioning in the women's games yesterday how a left-handed shooter is often quite an advantageous thing to have. Here's the one for Australia. And that is Luke Pavillard, who will be number 7 on the rotor. Reece Holden will be number 8. Riley Townsend, number 9.
Number 10, Timothy Putt.
Back again, Tim Putt. Will wear number 10.
Number 11, Chaz Poot.
Not being confused with Chaz Poot. One's P-U-T-T, one's P-O-O-T, 10 and 11.
Number 12, the team captain,
Blake Edwards, no, not that one, is wearing number 12. And the other goalkeeper for Australia is John Hedges. We'll see who they choose to go with first into selection. The man who will make that decision is the head coach of Australia. That is he, Tim Cahill, who will be assisted by Vedran Cherkovic and Andrew Yanisas. Right, time for the anthems. And as is customary, we'll go with the team that's down on the team sheet anyway as the away nation. So that will be the team who, as you look, is actually in
Ladies and gentlemen,
blue.
please stand for the national anthem of Kazakhstan.
That is Kazakhstan. Kazakhstan national anthem, and now we'll hear it's a very familiar Advanced Australia fare for the team of Australia. Some know the words, and some clearly don't, or choose not to sing it. Australia against Kazakhstan underway in just a few minutes' time. And of course, all the teams will be in action today in all the various groups. Let's get underway. As I mentioned, are the defending champions, Italy. And next game that I will bring you later on will be Canada against Spain, to see how the defeated finalists from 3 years ago get on. As I mentioned, Australia, compared to their women, not had anywhere near the same level of success. But with some new blood in there, all right. Most of them are the established water polo players 3 years ago, but there are some new names, some fresh faces in there. It's the Australian lineup. Two goalies at the top, Nick Porter and John Hedges. They've made a change with both of their goalies this time round. It's not the same two that featured in 2019. There's the lineup from the out players. Including now 30-year-old Blake Edwards. There's Tim Hamill, and fresh in terms of World Championship for him. Wasn't in charge 3 years ago, so new to this environment. So sixth last time, best placing was going back to 1998. Going back to the days of Perth. It seems a long time ago for them to try and recreate something akin to that from 1998 to 2022. Kazakhstan have been an independent country for now 30 years. And they've been there or thereabouts, knocking on the door, but never quite breaking it down as yet. And they've got a mixture of great experience. Shmida, for example, 32. Shakinov, 31. They've also got the 19-year-old I talked about. Rustam Ugamanov is the man who's looking after things. Well, last time they met, it was not totally one-sided, but Australia got off to a very lively start. Were right on top from the off, and Kazakhstan weren't able to rein it back in. 14th of the last World Championships. The best they've had was at the Olympics in 2000. That was in Australia and Sydney. Often what happens in these competitions, you get a breakout nation who maybe exceed expectation. Maybe Kazakhstan will be that team this year. Indeed, maybe Australia will break into that top four again or go one better. The very experienced head of Blake Edwards doing the team talk. And for Kazakhstan, Murat Shakinov having final words before the sprint. Well, both coaches have decided on their starting lineup. That looks like it will include the likes of Yuksanovic for Kazakhstan, and for Australia, they've opted to go with Nick Porter starters. That is featuring in on Chaz Poot. And for the referee on the far side to be set. And then we are set for the first quarter. Just checking that everything is in order. 3-1, and referee 2 both with their earpieces in. Both look to be ready, but we're not quite ready. See whether we haven't hit 6 o'clock yet, that's why. Just about to do that. They're not going to start before the game should start, which is right now. Ball placed in the centre, and we'll get the first sprint underway. Australia with the white caps and Kazakhstan with the blue. Ooh, that's going to be a difficult one to call. I think it's just going to go the way of Australia. Australia get the first possession in the first quarter of this game. Like to have most of the possession and quite a lot of dominance with it. Just seeing whether the Kazakhstan defense could be a little less porous early on than what they were like 3 years ago. And straight away, they're getting themselves into a little bit of trouble here, because they've just conceded the first penalty in the first 19 seconds. That's not how they wanted to start Kazakhstan, just the way Australia wanted to start it. Pavlard has got the ball in hand, and Pavlard scores to put Australia on the board in 19 seconds. First foul committed. Happens to be in an area where a penalty shot could be called. A penalty shot it is. A penalty foul has allowed Australia, even though they did get a piece of the ball, the Australian women last night scored 1 out of 5 of their penalty shots. Well, that's a much better start. 1 for 1 opening up for Australia. So Pavlard gets them on the board. As Kazakhstan charge towards the net. Shakinov, that's denied. They'll get a reset. Shakinov once again will look for maybe the long-range blast. No, he'll put it out to Schmieder instead. Schmieder is then fouled. Ball back with him. Schmieder hits the outside of the post and comes back to safety and straight into the grateful hands of an Australian. So swim back they will. Ball with Charlie Negus. Negus little pass over the top, but well read by the Kazakhstan goalie. It was fairly well telegraphed, to be honest, and there's already going to be a change here for Kazakhstan. They're already swapping players already in the first minute and a half. Shakinov. It's going to be an exclusion here for Australia for Chaz Poot. So can Kazakhstan make the most of their one-man advantage? They're getting closer and closer. Right in tight is Kasanov. So him they're going to try and get it to. They're playing it around quite a lot. Schmieder, and they ran out of time. Ran out of time with the shot clock. I think Kasanov had got himself right in front of goal and was trying to act as a bit of a screen to Nick Porter, but an opportunity not taken by Kazakhstan. Australia, an early penalty, leading by a 1-0. Here's George Ford. Little fake and then shot from Pavlard. Doesn't find his way through this time. Denied as he wasn't denied on the penalty. And it's back with Pavel Lipalin, who's choice goalie to start with. He's got a bit of that shot clock. Down to 13, just putting the ball back into play is Shakinov. Well, they are going to do this the hard way if they're going to get anywhere near the goal. They're running out of time, and they've run out of time. That was a very, very stilted progression, if indeed progression it can be called, to get that ball down the other end of the pool, and Australia taking full advantage. Rhys Holden for Aussies with another pool wide pass to Negus. It was a bit too acute to shoot from there. Pavlard. Now Blake Edwards, experienced Blake Edwards, off the bar it comes and goes away to safety. Just that one incision so far, which is really all of Kazakhstan's making. So they're keeping it tight. They're not really producing much of their own at the other end. Vuksanovic. Kasanov. How far back Shantagitov is right now. Shantagitov gets the bounce, takes a deflection off the Aussie. So that will be Kazakhstan ball. They'll get a reset. And they're going to put it in from the corner. Gonna reset on the shot clock to 17. Shakinov has a chance to look and potentially shoot it. He's moving in a bit closer now. Schmieder. Well, there's too many bodies in the way, ultimately. They've not really tested the Australian goalie as yet. But no real damage done. Just that one penalty scored early on. He scored very early in the game, but since then, no further incision. Vuksanovic doesn't think he did anything wrong. Referee disagrees. Pavillard. George Ford. Pavillard will move back in there, but that'll be goalie's ball. Helped on its way by Kasanov towards his goalie. He's lost his cap. We'll go and reclaim that. It's down the bottom of the pool now, probably. There it goes. No, that's the ball going. The cap has gone. So he'll get a new one, although wait to the break-in play so he can get some new headgear. Now Kazakhstan have 6 seconds in which to shoot. They'll stop again until they get possession back underway. Vuksanovic tries to go short side. 20-second reset for Kazakhstan. Isn't that difficult a save, really, but still needed to be made. Negus. Oh, that was a throwaway, really, and easy for Nick Porter. No real damage done for Kazakhstan yet. Australia not quite in the groove as yet. Being forced further and further wide. Right to the extremity of the pool is Rhys Holden. Defensively, they're doing pretty well right now, Kazakhstan, but this might unlock the door. Negus. Really good block by Shonsagitov from shot from George Ford. And I think he should be relatively satisfied with how they're doing so far. Their defensive cover's good. Lipinen's not had a lot to do, apart from that penalty which he was unable to save. That's 2 minutes, and just that one goal. Unusual in water polo to have just one goal in 6 minutes, but that's how it's looking at the moment. Oh, that was a little speculative, but did he get a touch en route? Not according to the referee, he didn't. So that will be Australian possession. Akhmetov with that shot, which just went slightly wide. Pavillard, only goal scorer so far. That was the penalty. Pavillard, left-hand shooter, over the top it goes. That can be very effective, but it's on target though, because very often the goalie will forget the left-hand shooter, and Pavillard's just been given his exclusion. It's going to take him a while to get the exclusion zone. He's going, and by the time he gets it, he's going to come back out again. So it's not going to take very long. Artuk just slipped out of the grasp of Babelyuk. That one comes off the post, just on the shot clock, and a few grimaces because they're not using the 30-second shot clock particularly well at the moment. But we are getting towards the tail end of Q1, and there is still just that one goal differential. Might be two here, though. No, good anticipation by Pavel Lipilin. See where that danger was coming from. This is on the play. Still that play without a cap, and the exclusion for Rhys Holden. They're picking up quite a few yellows at the moment, or Australia, so that man advantage now for Kazakhstan. This is a really good chance for them. Good rotation. Artuk, they'll come back around to him. They're trying to get in a bit closer if they can. Man without the cap comes off the bar. Artuk, how long on the shot clock? Not long. There's a reset, so they're okay. 15, in fact 9 on the shot clock and 11 on the game clock for this quarter. and that's not going to sneak its way in either. Deflection of Porter onto the post, and looks like we're only going to have the one goal in the first quarter, and it's that penalty that was converted by Luc Pavillard very early on. So in effect, we've gone 7 minutes or thereabouts without seeing a goal, and Australia with their noses only just in front after the first period. It's Australia 1, Kazakhstan 0. Curious first 8 minutes, really, wasn't it? It's going to be difficult to see what's going on the highlight reel here, because we only had that one goal, and to be honest, not too many chances. Kazakhstan creating very little. They had quite a lot of times where they had a man advantage. Here is that penalty, which Avalon did get his hand too, but defensively they've been very strong. Some good blocks both ends. Negus involved in that one. Although they try, either they've been aiming wide of the target or they've been hitting the frame of the goal. So it's a marked contrast to how it was when they met 3 years ago, when Australia ran into a very big lead early on. Yeah, they're not taking quality shots sometimes, or they're taking too long to decide what to do. And that's why Kazakhstan have yet to register a goal. But there again, those stats kind of tell the story, don't they? Action shots, well, Kazakhstan have had 10 of them. Only 4 to Australia. So stats, those that exist, actually looking a bit better from a Kazakhstan point of view. But the stat that really matters the most is the one at the top of your picture. And that shows Australia have scored the only goal so far. Last sprint was pretty close. They both got to the ball at around about the same time. Just given to Australia, but it was a marginal call. Ready to go for the second quarter and the sprint. Now, is this going to be Australian ball again? Looks like it. It is. As Chaz Poot claims possession. Gives it back to George Ford. 2 sprints out of 2 won by Australia. Pavillard, that early goal in the first, but nothing has happened really much for him since. Pavillard will advance, and there will be exclusion for the Kazakhstan team. So Australia have the man advantage. Pavillard looking for his second. Poot playing around nicely. They do have that one player advantage. Pavillard over the top. Another great block. Another great stop. It looks like he was almost celebrating after that save was made there, Lippelin. Was he? I won't see on that replay, but it looked to me like he actually had a little celebration for making that save. Shakinov is being pushed and pushed further back. Look how far he is away from goal, and they've already had 20 seconds on the shot clock. Soy. Now that was a good reflex save, but wasn't the most difficult for Nick Porter. Shot from Shoshikitov. With Charlie Negus. Another good stop. Well, either he's positioning himself very well, or Australia aren't playing the corners very well at the moment. I think that's probably more the latter. George Ford it was, and again, an outstretched palm and arm of Pavel Lippelin doing the business, doing the job his team requires of him. Shakinov. 8 seconds, need something pretty quickly here, and they're not in a position to do it. And holding down, says the official on the far side. So that means that play gets turned over, and the play switches to Australian possession. Chaz Poot. Charlie Negus. That's off the frame of the goal. How many times have we seen that already in this game? They're just aiming a bit too high. Maybe it'll work this time for Poot. Not getting in very close. Poot again. Negus scores, and maybe it took a little ricochet off Tim Put there, but it'll go down to Charlie Negus's goal, I think. Let's see, did they get a ricochet on the... No, I think it just bypassed the outstretched hand of Chaz Poot. And Charlie Negus will get his first goal, and Australia's second, just over 2 minutes into the second quarter. Subs being made. Some changes happening very quickly. Australia just wanting to bring the change in a little bit. An action shot goal from Negus. The rebound. Kazanov with Lamayev. That's going to be an exclusion here if the Australians aren't careful. And that's going to creep its way in. The whistle had already gone, but there's an exclusion for Tim Put. Tim Put's the man who's given the exclusion. Whistle had already gone before the goal, so that will not count. Kazakhstan still looking for their first. Charlie Negus. Now they start playing around. Maybe they feel a bit more comfortable now. They've got a slight cushion, not a big one yet, but now it's a bit bigger because that's Luke Pavillard's second. And it took a long time to get between 1 and 2. Took little time to get between 2 and 3. Pavillard again with that left-handed shot. So key, because I think almost certainly Liplin thought it was going the other corner, but it went short side instead. And second out of 5 attempts for Luke Pavillard gives Australia a bit more of respectability on the scoreline. Kazanov for Kazakhstan on the ball, but being harried and hassled, or even heralded and hassled by Kenan Marsden. And they're just taking shots for shots' sake at the moment. I think Porter's really not been that tested. 6 out of 6. Well, it shows you in 11 minutes play and more, he's only had 6 shots to face. Australia looking dangerous again with Marsden. Go a bit further out to Pavillard, looking for his hat-trick potentially here. And that took a ricochet from Nathan Power. And it remains at 3-0. Change of personnel very shortly for Kazakhstan. What they need pretty quickly, you would say, is a goal. To get themselves back in this. They certainly were in it at the end of the first quarter. They're just losing control of the game a little bit, and then Australia pull away. Vuksanovic. Look how far out again, though. That's good work by Australia, just saying, right, you don't come into our territory, we'll keep you as far away from goal as we can, and they're just not really getting in range for those shots. Midway through the second quarter, Australia have dominated this one. Only a couple of goals, but in possession terms they have. And that will be an exclusion for Kazakhstan. They will lose Schmieder. Just yellow for him. And that's nicely done. That's what I'm talking about, the left-handed shooter who can also palm it off with the left hand as well. And Nathan Power gets his name on the board thanks to the man who's already scored 2 goals. Perfect feed, perfect response from the left-handed Pavillard. Finds Luke Power, sorry, Nathan Power, and his first goal in the game. Australia now sitting pretty, looking far more comfortable at 4-0. So if needs be, Tim Hamill can ring the changes. Looking far more enthused and more encouraged by what he's seen since the restart. Kazanov, this is good work. Look at this. This is what you would call in basketball terms full court press. There's no court, obviously, but it's almost like a full pull press here, where you get the player just holding the ball carrier as deep and deep as possible. Now, is there a chance for a shot? There is. It's wayward, though, from Edouard Zoy. Really haven't tested Nick Porter all that much. Look how wide that is. He might have made it if there were 2 goals side by side, but it wasn't very accurate at all. That's not accurate either. It's going to waste a lot of time on this offensive move. 9 seconds on the shot clock. Pavlard. That took all the sting out of it. A little interception and little ricochet. 2:17 on the second. A bit of a quicker transition will help for Kazakhstan if we can make it happen. Akhmetov. Again, they're just pushing them to the extremities. They're not allowing them to get into that real danger zone for the centre forward position. Look how wide they are, and that's then stolen away. A reset. Yeah, it's agonizing for the Kazakhstan coach, because they've done so many good things, but they're just a bit lacking teeth when it comes to actually putting anything together, formulating anything at the other end. They're defending pretty well, as a concession of only 4 goals in well, get on for 2 quarters shows, but just they've been very toothless at the other end. Zoy had a good chance just now, put it well wide. We'll carry it just a little bit further. 20 seconds. Reset. And the exclusion for the Australians. Off goes Ford for his exclusion, so they've got that man advantage for 11 seconds now. Might actually get 2 if they're not careful here. Australia might lose another player. 7 seconds, and that's back off the woodwork as well. That's about as close as they have come to scoring. That shot just coming off the post from the forward. Riley Townsend, the youngest player on the Australian team, born in 2000. Oh, just trying to step it through. It was a nice little pass. They don't see that too often, but they're trying to dribbly pass across the surface, and again they've hit the bar. I've lost count the number of times they've actually hit the woodwork, either post or bar here, Australia. Should be more up than they are, but Kazakhstan have an exclusion. They felt Sean Zagitov just waiting to come back on, which he can do in 2 more seconds. But by that time, another save made. I was about to say by that time they might have gone 5-0 up, but no. Yes. Pavel Lipolin gets himself right in the centre of goal, makes the save again, and that hooter will signify the end of the first half here. And I think Kazakhstan may be relatively happy with that. Maybe not with their forward play, but defensively they've done pretty good work and have negated Australia's threat going forward for the most part. They did score 3 in that quarter though, and they lead Kazakhstan at half-time by 4-0. Look at the stats, which will be very beneficial after these replays for the Australians. It has got, as it often does in water polo, a little bit physical. That was that early breakthrough for Australia, scored by Luke Pavlard. Then we had to wait a long time. We had to wait until quarter number 2 for Australia to get their second. A lot of errant shots on both sides, it must be fair. Either shooting wide or hitting the woodwork. But that's a really good save. But yeah, there was a celebration off the back of it too from Pavel Lipolin. He enjoyed that. Didn't enjoy that one so much, or indeed that one. Couple from Pavlard. one from Nathan Power and one from Charlie Negus. Here's why Australia lead this one by 4-0. Such a key thing having that left-handed shooter. I keep mentioning it, but I'll try not to mention it too often, but it just gives you another option. So goalie will be assuming, he may even know, probably does know that Pavillard's left-handed, but in the heat of the battle, in the heat of the game, sometimes you don't remember. So let's get the tail of the tape from the first 16 minutes. Oh, we'll hear from the coach first, I think. We'll hear from the Kazakhstan coach, Rustam Bukhamanov. We could lip read if he was looking the other way around. Well, we're not going to hear much from him. I'm not sure we're going to hear much from Tim Hamill either. Let's have a quick look at the foul situation. Nobody's in any real kind of foul trouble. There's plenty of fouls, but everybody's got one at this stage. Quite a few for Australia. George Ford's got one. Pavillard, Holden, Put and Poot. And Artuk and Schmieder, Kasanov and Shokaditov all got fouls against the net. Right, period, quarter number 3 underway. Uncontested start to the third. George Ford takes possession. Ford will swim forward after getting the initial touch. Exclusion for Kazakhstan. They're going to lose a player. They're going to lose the number 6, Artuk, which might give Australia a chance of an early strike here in third, and it does. Yeah, open up very, very nicely and taken very well. Second goal of the game for man. Scored 3 against them 3 years ago. Nathan Power doubles his tally and takes Australia to 5-0 up. That's a chance for him now to take a breather. I'm sure that Tim Hamill will want to rotate his bench as much as he can. His roster's quite deep. Plenty of experience out there, so he's not going to be putting too many rookies in because they've all notched up quite a few games under their belt for Australia. 22nd shot clock now, and we have lost, or in the process of losing, Luke Pavillard. Man advantage for Kazakhstan. Good chance here, and they take it. Score on the board at last for Kazakhstan, and he believes they can make something of this game. And they're not massively behind, it must be said. And that's a brilliantly taken attempt by Alexei Schmieder. And Kazakhstan are in the game. It's taken a while. Well into the third period before they've scored, but they've not allowed Australia to get massively away from them, so there's still a chance of reclaiming it a little bit. They'll be a little bit more proactive, you think, and not allow Australia, of course, to strike again, which they look pretty keen to do. Chaz Poot, George Ford, and again, thought about it quite a while, did Kenan Marsden. They are using the full depth of their roster here for Australia. Seems pretty relaxed by how things are. As well he might be with the scoreline as it is. There's no massive threat at the moment for Kazakhstan. They have possession again with Shakinov. Thought about a quick release to Schmieder, and that's going to be an exclusion for Charlie Negus. His first foul. But it's Kenan Marsden is the man being excluded. Schmieder. Oh, little deflection, a nice one too as far as Murat Shakinov's concerned. He'll get the credit for it though. As he was being held down, Shakinov got it, and it took a ricochet off George Ford, but that will be given to Shakinov. And as far as this quarter is concerned, Kazakhstan are winning it by 2-1. Overall, they trail by 5-2. But you can see that their backup goalie, Malikan Makhmetov, really thinks they've got a chance of getting back into this, and they're saying not too far adrift. Tim Putt. Riley Townsend. Putt's thinking about it. Palms it off. A little bit of interplay between the two, and then Putt. Lovely save. Lovely save by Pavel Liplin. He's having a great game. And, always celebrates his good saves. Tim Putt. Oh, that one doesn't help though. Doesn't help their cause, because that did take a big deflection off the goalie and will count towards the account of Blake Edwards. Well, I thought he got that side of the goal covered. Maybe he was screened a little bit, but by the time he reacted, the ball was pretty much past him, and Blake Edwards gets his first. And Australia's sixth. Are they thinking about a timeout potentially here? Not at the moment. Just to restore the balance of the game a little bit to that 4-goal advantage. Kenan Marsden being on top of his man and really pushing Edward Zoy back. But can they wriggle free? They'll get 9 more seconds to do something with it. Stavalov can't do what he wanted to do. That is get past Nick Porter. He's got that angle, and the centre of the goal pretty well covered. (2-2) in this quarter. 6-2 overall to Australia. Looking for another incision, and that one again goes awry from an Australian point of view. And Kazakhstan have their possession back. All 27 remaining in the third. Much more competitive third than the first two were. Kazakhstan have found their scoring range at last. Edward Zoy. A little bit speculative from Akhmetov. And easy pickings for Nick Porter. We'll have a look at Artuk. Opportunity maybe to get Kazakhstan's third. Charlie Negus, the goal scorers for Australia. 2 for Power and 2 for Pavillard and 1 for Edwards. Back with Lipolin, who's made some very, very good saves. One goal potentially down to him, but other than that, he has stopped a few more. His hand on that penalty shot early on, but just couldn't keep it out. Babelyuk. And that all kind of came to nothing. Kind of fizzled out a bit, didn't it, for Kazakhstan? Quick break on for the Australians. Reece Holden. Tim Putt. Oh yes, oh yes. That was a total clinical decision. I'm going to go for this, and nothing's going to stop me. And he was such in a good position that even with quite a few bodies around him, a potential blockage. He found a way through, and Tim Putt will put his name on the scoreboard with Pavillard with 2 and Power with 2 and Negus with 1, and Edwards with 1 as well. That's Australia, as far as this quarter is concerned, just edge back in front. Won the first 1-0, won the second 3-0. This one's going 3-2. Again, good press by the Australians, keeping one man high to make sure there's no way the ball could be advanced, not easily anyway, for the likes of Schmieder. Look how far back he is. Look at that shot clock, down to 10 seconds, but they have got it up the pool eventually with Shakinov. They're not going to do anything from that range, surely. No, they're just going to have to give it up. They can't do it from where they are. That's a wasted 30 seconds from their point of view. Townsend for Australia. Swing. To the right of the pool is Pavillard. George Ford. The dunking for the number 12, Blake Edwards. But ball reclaimed by Kazakhstan. It's not been a terribly clinical Australian performance. It looks like they'll probably do enough. But they'll need to sharpen up a bit more going forward when they meet the likes of Serbia and the USA. The last team in this group does not progress into the shake-up for the last 8. The win will do Australia a lot of good. Won't do much for Kazakhstan's hopes, of course. Well, we haven't seen much of Tom Janet yet, but he's in the pool for the Australians. And Riley Townsend, they're using all their options. There's a lot going on in the centre of the ball, and the referee didn't like it. And will hand possession over to Kazakhstan. He had his beady eye on that for quite a while, waited a while to see what was going to develop, and then decided that the Australians were the aggressors. And Kazakhstan get the ball back in their possession with Pustovalov. Pustovalov thinking about it, still thinking about it, has other options. They play it around, and they try and go long side this time, right into the corner from Akhmetov. That's taken a little bit of a deflection off the hand of Luke Pavillard, and we are 58 seconds away from the end of the third, and it's time for a timeout. Has been called by Australia, so hopefully we'll get to hear what Tim Hamill has to say.
Boys, we're going first 6, we'll be in first 6 in the water, first 6. Nathan, 3 posts. We're going to go 4, and then later if we need to, 3. But Luke, try and get the C defender to you, release to the top. So 4 to 3 extra man, 4 to 3 extra man. Let's go. Halfway. Good job for him.
Yeah, I think he's relatively happy with how things have developed. Took a while, slow burner this game. But they do lead by 7-2 with probably 2 more possessions in this quarter, which will be for Australia. Ball back in play. There's something happening quickly here. Blake Edwards. Solution for Kazakhstan. They've got that man advantage because in the exclusion area is Akhmetov. There's going to be 2 gone because Schmieder's going as well, so they've got a 2-man advantage for 15 seconds. Well, they'll have a 1-man advantage now for 11. Now they should be able to score with that, in effect, 2-man power play. No, we don't call it power play anymore, but so in effect was a 2-man power play. It's now 1. But they've rather mucked that up. But Belyuk, 17 seconds. They've only got 4 though on the shot clock. Need something now, and there were just too many bodies in the way. There was one of his own players, and also there to block was George Ford, who did the job. Watch the block here managed to get his hand in the way before it got in the range of Nick Porter. Got to be a shot now, and again there's a hand up, and Charlie Negus it was who stopped its progression through to the goal. So 3 quarters gone, 1 to come, and Australia still very much in command of this one. And run away with it like they did when they played 3 years ago. Yes, they can do it in the 4th. It's going to be a much tighter affair, but they are certainly in control of this one. 1-0 first, 3-0 second, much more competitive third quarter, 3-2 to Australia. But they finding the goal with a reasonable amount of authority. They've missed a few good chances and also have a little intimate on his game as well. Yeah, not happy Nick Porter to have conceded. I think he was thinking in terms of a shutout, but wasn't to be. Haviland's made some exceptional saves like that one to keep it very close, so to keep it respectable from a Kazakhstan point of view. That one, though, did sneak in at the near post. Probably should have got that. Wasn't quite across in time. Maybe Nick Porter just showed him how to do it. Yeah, coaches are never happy with the officiating. There's always things that they'll question, always things they're not totally happy with. There are some subjective calls, but in fact, coach and Babelyuk just having a little exchange of views about things. He's looked very calm and composed all the way through, as Tim Hamill. That's what he might be with his team, leading by 7 goals to 2, but there's still time for a Kazakhstan comeback. It's unlikely to happen, but keep your eyes peeled, you never know. Certainly didn't look like they were going to score 2 goals in the 3rd quarter going into it, and they did. They've actually won the sprint. So 3-1. They actually won that sprint to Kazakhstan. Schmieder. Clock is down to 7 now. What are they doing? Yeah, stayed in there way too long. Well, he was looking for an option for the pass, and the problem was you can't goal hang in water polo. So when you're in that zone for too long, the ball gets passed across to your opposition, and that's what they were doing. He just had no outlet and just saw people in the wrong areas, really. So even though they did win the sprint, didn't actually help a great deal in the end. It was a decent piece of goalkeeping. Chakhanov. Short to Soy. Surely he's not going to shoot from there. Schmieda's been in the wars a bit. I've got to say, Schmieda's been kind of targeted a bit by the Australians, and certainly felt the rough edge of the Australian defence. Australians back with possession, but take it fairly slowly and steadily this time. Nathan Power is the man waiting in the centre. Can't get the ball under control, though. Power, and that's wayward. A long way shy of the target from Tom McJanet. Change of personnel for Kazakhstan. 6 minutes left in the game. Ready for our first goal of quarter number 4. Chakhanov. Yeah, well, that's all rather fizzled out, didn't it? Mainly because they could not find Shantagito, who I thought would be a bit more influential in this game, he's turned out to be, but although he's trying, he's not really had kind of impact in the overall match he would have liked to have done, but that man has. Shot from Charlie Negus is well and truly saved, even though he was nearly screened by his own player there. He was nearly screened by Kasanov, so he well keep his eye on the ball, did Lippelin there. Schmieder, 14 seconds on the shot clock. They do something fairly urgently here, Kazakhstan. They've been a bit soporific the way they've moved it. They might run out of time here if they're not careful. Is he going to get a shot away in time? He does, but it's a very tame one. Yeah, they wasted too many opportunities like that, using the whole depth of the shot clock and not actually really getting into a proper shooting position at all. Australians a bit more direct this time, certainly moving the ball much more quickly, but there's going to be an exclusion. I think it's for Kazanov. Yeah, it is. Kazanov's gone for 20 seconds, which gives Australia that man advantage, which they should take advantage of. And they don't. And they don't, because once again, Pavel Lippelin read the intentions of the Australian shooter from very close range. George Ford could not find a way past. Well, pretty much put it into the chest of the goalie. Checking off, but look again. Well, the Australian coaches are getting a bit annoyed, but he's staying right in front of the shot clock. So I can't tell you. Well, it's going to count. It's going to count from Alexei Schmieder, his second of the game. And Kazakhstan, with 4 seconds remaining on the shot clock, rifled into that. As we look, top right-hand corner, well past Nick Porter, could do nothing about it. Well, there are sometimes, goalies know this, you cannot be everywhere. You can't cover the whole of the goal. You're relying on your defense not to get too far out. And 3:55 remaining. Kazakhstan keep it interesting. Still don't think they're going to pull it back, but they're trying to stop the Australians getting to double figures. Well, as I say that, Blake Edwards scores his second and does take Australia to 8. If they could keep the Australians to 10, maybe, it would certainly be very respectable compared to what happened last time round, when Australia were totally dominant in the early stages. And it was a very one-sided affair last time round. 17-8 it was for Australia. Oh, we're not going to get 17 this time. I doubt Kazakhstan are going to get to 8. Lippelin wants a piece of the action. Well, that should change goalies there. That's John Hedges in the Australian net, so that threw me a bit. 2 13s wearing red caps, but yeah, it's John Hedges now, and there's going to be a penalty for Australia. Well, we had a penalty right at the beginning of the game taken by Luke Pavillard, and we're going to get another one here, which will be taken by same man. Hat-trick scored, and Pavillard gets his 3. 2 of them were penalties. 2 of them have been penalties. And, well, trying to guess. Kind of, if he stayed in position, he might have been all right, but he just did a little fake and a little swerve. And Pavillard waited till he made that decisive move and made his decisive move. And, yeah, takes Australia close to that double-figure score. 9-3, last 3 minutes. Pakistan scoring all their goals in the second half so far. Clock's down to 0, but there's going to be an exclusion, is there? Or is a timeout being called? Timeout's been called by Kazakhstan with 2:52 remaining in the game. So you can speak Kazakh. Good luck. You can have a listen to what you can hear from Rustam Bukamanov.
3. Данила, сначала ворвись, как этого, а потом, нет, Цой пусть идет. Ты на двойку смотри. Серж, Мура, на вас прыгать буду. Султан, готовься, прям иди в центр больше и на перевод. Давай.
Team talk done. And we get very close towards the end of this game. And Australia seemingly having claimed the 2 points, but it's a question of what the margin's going to be. And obviously that could be very important when it comes to goal difference later on. Try and get as many as you can, but Kazakhstan will want to be as close to Australia as they can. Shakinov with Australia having an exclusion here, so here's the advantage. Ooh, a little juggle. Oh, Schmieda's given it away. We'll try and be a little bit too careful, and just made that big error. Chaz Poot having been excluded. They weren't able to take advantage of that man advantage, and here's a great chance. Oh, and again, not taken by Riley Townsend this time. And again, look at that expansive goal, and somehow, well, that was a good block by the defender this time, rather than the goalie, but only hands make light work on those occasions. Shakinov. Last 2 minutes. Shakinov again. Someone would love to just bring that gap down, and they've done it. There's a hat-trick from Alexei Schmieder. What a game he has had. Really come to the fore in the second half. Schmieder, little fake, and then there's the shot, and that was a no-look shot. Look at he's looking the other way. That's terrific. Completely through the goalie, because his eyes are looking in completely the other direction as he takes the shot. Not a no-look pass, but a no-look shot from Alexei Schmieder. And that's 3 for him out of the 4 for Kazakhstan. Well, the match is going to be a difficult one. I think Pavlard's probably going to get it, but they've both got 3 goals so far. Here's Put. Can they keep Australia to under 10? Well, they will, because they get possession here with less than 90 seconds to go. I think it's quite a hard call for, I mean, both goalies. Certainly Pavlin could be in contention for player of the match. I think I might give it to Schmieder for his second half performance. He scored 3 quick-fire goals for Kazakhstan. Artyuk. Well, there's a lot of positives to take out of it. They haven't scored as many goals as last time around, but they've conceded far fewer. It'll be almost on the verge of exclusion for Nathan Power. That's a little bit tame. Last minute, Australia will get at least 1 more possession. Those don't throw it away, and they don't. There's an exclusion for Schmieder, I think. Yeah, and he's got a red card because that is his 3rd personal foul. So Alexei Schmieder may have scored 3 goals, but sadly from his point of view, he's got 3 yellow cards. Here's timeout.
We're playing regular 3, so our old normal 3. Nathan on the 3 post. Okay, just normal regular 3. George, you're on the post. Team outside. Keenan, play on some.
Well, rather snuck up on me and probably on Schmieder as well. He got 3 personal fouls. Also got, well, we're near the tail end of the game now, so shouldn't be a worry for anybody else, but Schmieder is out, so Australia will have that man advantage for 19 seconds. Obviously, then Schmieder can't come back in. I've put another player back in. Try and get closer and closer and closer to Australia because they know they can't be covered that well. But they're being covered at the moment. Going to have to go from long distance, and that was well read again by Pavlin. Australia reclaim possession. Put. That's nice. That's very nice. They do get their double-figure score they were looking for with that conversion from Nathan Power, who does exactly what he did 3 years ago against Kazakhstan. Scores a hat-trick. So 2 hat-trick scorers on the Australian team, 1 for Kazakhstan. And that does register goal number 10 for Australia and gives them a 6-goal cushion.
На четверке. Центрально сдвиньтесь на 5 метров.
No timeout called by
Туда, да, уйди, Муру.
Kazakhstan.
Подожди, на 5 метров вылези. С пасом Муру надо обслужить. Поняли? Давай, пошли. Муру ждите.
So they'll have one more play. And he's called the drill. And they've got plenty of time on the shot clock as long as they don't waste it. They've got 19 seconds to find one more goal and not hand the possession over to Australia. 10-5 will look a little bit more encouraging than 10-4, but I even think with 10-4 it's not really a bad performance all told by Kazakhstan, but they've got to find a way of getting that ball forward. They're not going to find it easy. 12 seconds. 11. They're pretty close. I'm not quite sure what that was. But that was not a shot. It wasn't a pass. I really don't know quite exactly what he was trying there. Ambitious is probably not the word for it, but that will bring this encounter between Australia and Kazakhstan to a conclusion. And from an Australian point of view, I suppose it's a pretty good conclusion because they've won the game, but they haven't won it maybe as comfortably as they would have liked to. Certainly nowhere near as comfortably as they did 3 years ago. And final score in this encounter between Australia and Kazakhstan, first of the games in Group D, has ended in a victory. And I suppose you might think a sizable victory, but certainly not compared to what they did in Gwangju. Australia beating Kazakhstan by 10 goals to 4. Right, now all we have to decide, or has to be decided for us, is who's going to be the player of the game. Well, it's a difficult choice. You've got 2 hat-trick scorers for Australia and 1 for Kazakhstan. Now, had he not got excluded at the end, I might have given it to Schmieder. Here are the stats for you. And shot efficiency, not great on either side, quite frankly. 30% for Australia, 17 for Kazakhstan. A couple of penalties scored by the Australians. And the highlights, which will concern mainly Australia, of course, because they've scored the bulk of the goals, and they scored a very early penalty as well, which put them on the road. But it was the only goal of the first 8 minutes. Took a while for Australia to really get into the groove, and that was a combination of errant shooting and also some decent saves made by Pavel Lipilin. When they got going, they started to just move into another gear. 3-0 second quarter, 3-2. As Kazakhstan started to really find their way into the game in quarter 3, and exactly the same score in quarter 4. Hat-trick for Schmieder for Kazakhstan, hat-trick for Havelar, 2 of those penalties, and 2 for Nathan Power. Now, are they going to go with Pavlard or are they going to go with Schmieder? I think they're the only 2 likely men of the match. Having said that, they've gone with the goalie. They sometimes do. I I don't think he was that sorely tested today, to be honest, but they've given it to Nick Porter, the Aussie goalie. I'm gonna look down the stats. Let's see how many. Kazakhstan had 24 shots. He made 20 saves, but there again, his opposite number made 23 saves. So, all right, well, somebody's decided to give it to the goalie, as they often do in this circumstance. They're not sure because there are 3 people on hat tricks. Always an easy option to give it to a goalie who's had a decent game, which he has. So 10-4, and that's how the table looks with USA about to play Kazakhstan. It's the next game in Group D. Good way for Australia to start. They get their first 2 points. Remember, top 3 will progress, and the team at the bottom, which at the moment, of course, is Kazakhstan, will find themselves in the classification game, and that'll be all. And that is all from this game at the Szeged Zöhre Pool.